Hey guys, welcome to the 14th episode of Daily Word Webs to Build the Cat. Don't we often live in words, said or unsaid, right? Sometimes we leave things unsaid and sometimes we say too much. Anyhow, I'll let you guys think about the answer to that question. What I am concerned here with is the vocabulary aspect again. And well, in this case, the root that we'll be discussing today in today's episode will be VIV, which stands for life or live or live. Okay. So yeah, I'm Anupam Mishra by the way, and मेरा detailed introduction मैं आपको session के end में दूंगा. अभी हम लोग सीधा content पे जाते हैं. So the root for today, which is viv, guys, has its origin in the Latin language, and it stands for life or live as a verb or live as a noun, right? So there are other roots that have similar meanings, like bio, something that we discussed in the last session, and wit also relates to life and life, something that we'll discuss in the upcoming session. Which हम लोग next session में उठाएंगे. Okay, so let's start with today's root. So guys, I'm sure like at some point of time you must have in your during your past reading आपने कहीं ना कहीं तो आपको ऐसी कोई काफ़ी अच्छी कहानी या maybe some very good write-up or some very good novel that you must have come across where you may have noticed that the author has such a great talent to describe a particular situation in such great depth and detail that it almost seems like you're watching a motion picture. लगता है कि कोई movie चल रही है आपके दिमाग में, है ना? And one good example of this is this great series of classic stories, Sherlock Holmes की जो novels and stories हैं, and I'm sure like many of you, if you have not read आपने series तो definitely काफी लोगों ने देखी होगी, but if you have not read the actual original stories written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, उसके बाद तो बहुत सारे authors भी इसी theme पे लिखने लग गए with the same name, same title, Sherlock Holmes and the adventure of this and that. But if you go back to the actual ones, and नए वाले भी अच्छे होंगे, but I have personally read the मैंने नए वाले नहीं read किया, I read the old ones. In those novels and in those stories, the author describes some of the scenes in such great detail. For example, oftentimes there'll be a scene where Watson and Sherlock, they will be discussing a case in their study, right, in the living room, and he says that as a Sherlock's the author would describe कि हाँ, Sherlock is sitting on a launch chair, reclining with a pipe in his hand, the smoke coming out of the pipe and drifting away into the windows. It's dusk time, थोड़ा सा dusk वाला शाम का समय है, and that just twilight. There are some stars visible from the windows, just peeping out, as night comes close. So you can see how मतलब इतना अच्छे से describe किया होता है कि it's almost like the whole scene comes to life. Okay, and that's exactly what vivid means. Vivid means producing detailed and clear images, something that is so detailed that it seems like that it has brought the whole situation to life, right? So a certain author has a very vivid way of describing things or writing stuff, right? So that will be vivid. By the way, writing के adjectives के याद आया, writing style के adjectives से एक और word याद आया जो हमने discuss किया था एक बार, which we can revise at this moment, which is lucid, right? A lucid way of writing or explaining something is a way of explaining or writing something that is very clear, that is very structured, that makes the task of comprehending that content very easy for the learner, right? जो student के लिए बहुत ही आसान बना देता है उस चीज़ को समझना, right? So if a writer has a lucid way of writing, that's obviously good. But in addition to that, if you also add to that a vivid way of writing, that means they're also good at bringing the whole imagery to life, bringing the whole situation, the whole paragraph to life in the minds of the readers. Right, so that's about vivid. Let's come to the next word, which is vivacious. So I'm sure like all of you probably have that one friend, you know? So we all have archetypal friends, right? The way there are archetypes in Jung's आपने अगर युंग और ये सब फ्रॉइड और ये साइकोलॉजी में चीज़ें पढ़ी होंगी तो देयर आर आर्केटाइप्स, उनके ऊपर उस डिस्कशन में मैं बाद में जाऊंगा, बट द वे देयर आर आर्केटाइप्स, सिमिलरली वी ऑल हैव आर्केटिपिकल friends, right, which have some particular type of personalities. For example, this one friend for whom you can use the word vivacious would be a friend who's always like very cheerful and very positive and always bubbling with enthusiasm कि हाँ चलो ये करते हैं, यहाँ जाते हैं, and then whenever even when they are like, when you go to a party with them, they almost end up being the life of the party, they're always so happy and exuberant about everything. So that's vivacious for you, right? So you can see that they are full of life, because vivacious also derives from viv, which stands for life. So that's that. So they can be said to have a vivacious personality, right? They're positively lively and animated. So that's vivacious. From that we can look at another word, which is convivial. Uh, let's say you're getting you have a get together with your school friends, you know, and it's been a long time, and there's so much catching up to do. You have so fun stories to relate to them, to tell them, and then when you guys get together, आपका जो close वाला group है वो, then you're really having fun, and it's a it's an atmosphere of bonhomie. Do you guys remember this word? ये हमने हमने पढ़ा था एक दो कुछ I think a couple of episodes earlier, right? A general feeling of friendliness in the atmosphere, in the general environment of friendliness and goodwill, right? So yeah. Anyhow, so in such a situation, the gathering, just जो gathering आपकी है with your school friends, which is so friendly and so cheerful, you would consider that gathering to be a convivial gathering, right? Con comes from the Latin term that stands for with. With in this case means, that means with some company, right? You're having a great time, you know, you're having a lively time with some company there. So a convivial gathering or get together of friends, that would be. Another interesting term, which has been coined, I think, in the last 20 years, which like it's not very as old a term as most of the other English words. It's co-vivant. COVAVANT. Now, co-vivant, co is a term for together. Okay, will be a Latin term for together. So a co-vivant would be a situation, or maybe a person who lives, or people who live together without getting married, right? So kind of a this is basically a term for live-in situations where couples live together without being married, right? So that's the context in which you can use the word co-vivant. Okay, so living together, right? So vivant comes from living, viv, that means to live, and co is for together. Okay, coming to the next word, which is revive, right? Re is the root for again or back, right? And vive comes from life. So that means revive means to bring back to life, to bring back something to life. So that means the revolution was about to die down when the return of the old leader revived it back to its original strength or something, right? So to bring something, to make something active again, to bring something back to life again. So it can be used in a metaphorical sense. It can also be used in a literal sense, right? Reviving, like if a person is driving and the guard comes and saves them, and then is trying to revive them. That means bring them back to life, right? By pushing water out of their lungs, etc. So they are literally trying to revive that person, right? And then as जो मैंने आपको यहाँ पे movement वाला example दिया, revolution वाला example दिया, that would be a metaphorical or a figurative usage of the word revive here. Okay. From revive, there's another word that we can discuss, which is survive, and I'm sure ये सारे words तो आपको पता है ये, but इसका फिर भी discussing the etymology kind of helps us develop that approach and this habit of looking into the roots, जिसके काफी फायदे होंगे, and as you will realize later. So survive comes from, again, vive comes from life, and sir basically comes from super. Okay, super, the Latin term super, which stands for in addition to. That means, so when you say that you have survived certain obstacles, that you basically mean to say that despite those obstacles, right? Despite those obstacles, you were able to live, stay alive, right? You have been able to stay alive and be all right despite those obstacles. Okay, so that's survive for you. Next we have in line, then revive आपका हो गया, survive हो गया. Vivisection, you must have heard of vivisection, right? Vivisection, that's again an interesting term. The first part obviously comes from viv, that stands for life, and section comes from secare, secare, however you want to pronounce that, which stands for to cut something. Okay, so it's the same root that you will find in the word insect. Okay, so or maybe well, sections in a classroom or sections in a book, right? So different parts, right? So sections to cut. So a vivisection is basically the practice of performing operations on live animals, because viv stands for live, right? So on live animals for the purpose of scientific research or experimentation, right? So that's what vivisection stands for. And there's a term that has been that does rounds quite often, which is anti-vivisectionists. Okay, now anti-vivisectionists would basically be people who are against this practice of, you know, experimenting or performing experiments for any purposes, be it even if it is scientific research on live animals, right? They find it to be an inhumane practice. They are against that practice. So those, they will be considered as anti-vivisectionists. Okay, so yeah, that's about vivisection. Let's move on to the next term, is viviparous. Okay, viviparous derives from two roots. The first one is obviously viv. The second part, parous, this is derived from the Latin term. Let me write it here. Parus, that stands for bearing, bearing, right? So a viviparous animal would be an animal that bears life directly, right? So when it comes to reproduction, or when it comes to giving birth, right? In the animal kingdom, they are broadly speaking, very broadly speaking, I think there are two ways, right? One is by virtue of laying eggs, and the other is by virtue of giving birth to the infant directly, right? So in case of humans are viviparous because they like humans don't lay eggs, right? So they give birth to the infant or to the child directly, so directly producing offsprings, as opposed to eggs. So animals who produce offspring by the use of eggs, by virtue of eggs, would be considered as oviparous, oviparous, egg bearing, right? Who bear life by virtue of eggs. So we oviparous, like for example, many birds, right? Chickens, right? They are oviparous. Talking of eggs, so yeah, so that's oviparous for you. By the way, oviparous takes us derives from another root. Wait, Paris वाला root तो आपको पता चल गया यहाँ पे. Paris stands for bearing. The first part ovi. I'll take this here. Okay. The first part ovi comes from the Latin term ovum, that stands for egg. Okay. And I wonder, have you ever wondered, कभी आपने ये सोचा है कि in tennis, why do they say that 15 love, 13 love, when the score of the opponent is 0? They say 13 love, or 30 love, not 13, 15 love, 30 love, 40 love, etc. Right? So if you've wondered about that, I'll tell you why that is. Now, ovum is a root for egg. Okay, and ovum in French would be written something like OEUF. Okay, and you probably know that in French, whenever you want to say the something, you always say, you have, instead of the, you have L, right? Instead of the, you have L. Let me use a different ink here. L, right? L, like lay X or lay Y, etc., etc., right? So when you want to say the egg, in French, it would become something like this: L, then low F, right? I don't know the exact French pronunciation of this, but that's how what it becomes. And then when this is as this term evolves into the English language, it becomes LOVE, love. Okay, not the love as a feeling or maybe falling in love, but rather the love that stands for or looks like an egg, right? So love literally stands for the egg. Okay, love stands for the egg, and hence love will also stand for the egg. So now, and because the opponent's score is 0, looks like an egg. Okay, and hence they say that 15 love, or it's like literally saying that just as आप हम लोग during childhood days बोलते थे कि हाँ अंडे पे आउट हो गया, right? कितने मार्क्स आए, कितना टीचर ने क्या दिया, so अंडा मिला है, अंडे मिले हैं, right? Something like that. So those terms. So it's literally like saying that, okay, I've got 50, I've got 1 point. Like 15 love is like I've got 1 point, and you've got, well, eggs, right? And you've got 0 points there. So yeah, that's an interesting backstory behind that. Don't confuse this love with again the feeling wala love, please, that's not the same in this context here. Okay, so that's about the words, guys. So in this part of the video, guys, you can just pause the video and then go through the sentence usages of each of these words, and it will help you better understand, get an idea about how these words are used, and then as you can see, like, they have been taken from some reliable and credible sources out of these sentences. This is where you test your learning. You basically are supposed to find the correct order of sentences of these sentences to match the words here, right? The words will remain fixed here, and you can jumble up the sentences so that they match the corresponding word correctly. You can also attempt this in the form of a Google form, and the link to which has been provided in the description. Here in the summary, I've listed all the roots and words that we learned on a primary as well as the secondary basis. And so you can pause the video again and then try to just revise these if you want. Finally, guys, I'm Anupam Mishra, and I'm Lucknow alumnus. These are my areas of work and expertise. These are the brands that I've worked with, and these are my CAT credentials. I've also worked as an academy educator in the past, recognized by the Johnny Ive Award for Best Course Design and Delivery. And yeah, so that's about me. Sluggers, guys, we are a growing channel. मैं यहाँ पे काफ़ी सारी जो दिक्कतें हैं यहाँ पे टेस्ट प्रेप में मैं उनको एड्रेस करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ स्लगर्स के द्वारा, एंड बिकॉज वी आर ग्रोइंग चैनल, हमें आपके पूरे सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत होगी. तो अगर आपको हमारा कंटेंट और डिलीवरी अच्छा लगता है, देन डू like and subscribe, like the videos and subscribe to the channel and share it with anyone who you think might benefit from these. आपके लिए शायद वो एक सिंपल सा क्लिक या एक बटन रहता होगा, बट फॉर अ ग्रोइंग चैनल इट मेक्स अ बिग डिफरेंस फॉर अस. सो प्लीज डू दैट. अगर आप नेक्स्ट वीडियो देखना चाहते हैं तो आप यहाँ क्लिक कर सकते हैं, एंड इफ यू वांट टू गो टू द वेरी फर्स्ट वीडियो ऑफ द सीरीज, जो अगर आपने नहीं देखा हो तो आप यहाँ क्लिक करके आगे जा सकते हैं. ओके, सो दैट्स अबाउट इट फ्रॉम माय साइड. थैंक यू.